do that again. Title of today's lecture: Why most people fuck up product visualization. Let's wait a couple more minutes for a couple more people to tune in. Then I'm going to lace you people up with some game today. Now I'm going to wait until somebody gives me a 1 in the chat and tells me sound is good, video is good, Ari, and we do indeed see or share screen and all this. I even got my little notes today. And we're going to talk about where most people fuck up on product visualization. I can't tell you guys how many times I've seen somebody make a really nice model. I see this all the time with my students in my school. Anytime I deal with somebody, anytime I'm trying to teach somebody, anytime I try to give somebody some feedback, this is the most common problem. And the best part is this is the simplest shit in the world. So for most of you guys watching today, like this, you're gonna go from beginner to being able to make shit look beautiful. Okay? That's what's gonna happen today. This is where 90% of people fuck it up. I got my portfolio here open up on Instagram, but we're going to get back to that. Well, portfolio, it's not really a portfolio at the moment. I got a bunch of shit on it. I got to reorganize it a little bit. But we're going to talk about this a little bit later. For now, I've got a model right here. If Mr. Patching is with us, then Mr. Patching knows what I'm talking about. I just had a conversation with Mr. Patching. And the reason I call him Mr. Patching is because I didn't know how to pronounce his first name. And then I Googled it today. Finally, after I've been telling him for months, I'm going to Google it so I can figure it out. And I believe now that it's pronounced Kieran Patching. Alright? Mr. Kieran Patching. He sent me a model of a Rolex. And he made this model. We worked on it quite a bit. And the model turned out to be pretty damn nice. The model is pretty damn good. If you look at the topology is good. A bunch of details are there. Everything more or less is flowing pretty nicely. Alright? The model's not bad. The model's definitely sufficient for this type of stuff. Now, of course, guys, you can never reach a point where adding more detail is going to hurt you. Well, I can hardly imagine that. But most of the time, if you're working on something, crank the details up to maximum. You want to turn that shit up, add as much detail as possible. But this is a model which is perfectly adequate. This is a model which is pretty much completed. Everything's working pretty fine on the model itself. But Mr. Patching sent me this model, and he sent me a little animation to go with it. And the problem with this model is that it was very simple. It's been ruined by the lighting, okay? And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this over and over again. Now, guys, here's the problem. Anytime you make a video to talk about lighting, nobody clicks on that shit. Nobody wants to look up lighting. Everybody just wants hard surface modeling, Bool tool, Topology, fucking hard ops, Blender update. Everybody wants to talk about it. Anything but lighting. And as a result, people learn about modeling. People learn how to create the model, which is indeed the most important part. Of course, this is the foundation of any project, right? But the problem is, then you finish your model, and then you got to go present it somehow. You want to render it, and people completely fuck up the lighting because they don't think about the lighting at all. And here's a problem in this situation right here. Okay, if you look at this watch, let's go to camera view here. It doesn't look right. Am I the only one who has this problem where you try to select your fucking camera and it doesn't want to get selected? Look. I gotta click on this 6 million times, and now it works. Okay. The problem is the lighting here. Look at the lighting. It looks like this ring around here is black. And if you try to present this, it's not gonna look good. It's gonna ruin the model. It's gonna take away from the final presentation. It could look absolutely beautiful. The model's there. Everything's fine with the model. The textures, everything's there. But you fucked it up with the lighting. Now we're gonna look at some pictures on the internet just so you guys can see what I'm about to talk to you about here. Let me show you a watch that I've made myself. I made this little video on Instagram. I'm gonna turn off the sound. You know what? I'll turn on the sound. I don't know if it's gonna be loud as fuck. I can't hear it. Okay, maybe the sound explodes, but I'll play this little animation for you because I made a little music edit and shit. I tried to coordinate the steps in the video with the music and all this. I made it. I tried to make it look cute, right? So watch this, guys. Did you see the lighting at the end? I'm gonna play it again so I can pause it on the lighting at the end. And then I'm gonna show you some other products online and stuff like that, so you guys can see the key difference here. All right, because like I said, the model's fine. The model that Mr. Patching sent me is perfectly fine. The difference is the lighting. All right, look at how much. Pay attention to the reflections of the model. Pay attention to how the details are revealed by the lighting. Right. Look at the reflections around the ring. What do you call this part? The metal frame, anyway. Look at all the reflections everywhere. This is the key here. This is the secret ingredient. You want to know a secret? It's this. You don't gotta download no fucking add-on. You don't gotta buy nothing. You don't gotta spend 3 years in school. This is it. For most of you guys who already have some experience with modeling in Blender, you can make some pretty nice shit. If you put the monkey in your scene and you set up your lighting right, it's gonna look good. You can probably throw that shit in your portfolio. Okay, that's how important lighting is. You can make anything look good. You can make the stupidest model ever. You can make that shit look good if you do your lighting correctly. All right. Let's go online and I'll show you something else. Let me show you something else. Talking about watches. Let's go to Rolex. At Rolex. At Rolex on Instagram, they got a bunch of 3D models. Here's a 3D model of theirs. Pay attention to their lighting. It's the lighting. It's the lighting that makes the difference between it looking like shit and it looking nice, okay? Here's another scene. Well, they got a little bit of special effects going on here with a little flaring and shit like that. But the lighting is the most important thing here. The model, if you made the model, everybody knows how to make this model, but I got 6 million Topology tutorials out there already. Everybody knows how to model this stuff, okay? Once you got the model down, now you gotta set up your lighting. Let me show you another one. Another little project that I've been working on. Just to hammer this home. Another little work in progress of mine. I'm making this toothbrush right here. This toothbrush. And I'm doing this for a new section of the course in the Digitally Enhanced Club. So I made this toothbrush here. And my idea with this toothbrush was I'm going to make it just like if you go on Oral-B YouTube channel commercial or something. There's a 3D model in that commercial. There's a 3D model animation. It's like a 30-second animation. So I want to model the toothbrush, texture the toothbrush, talk about the lighting, talk about the animations, talk about setting up the scenes, the sound effects, everything. That's what the new section of the course in the Digitally Enhanced Club is going to be all about. So if you want to see how I made this toothbrush, then go check it out. Everything is here, from the bristles, from the hair systems and everything, texturing. I use the texturing method which they use for video games to add the little details here, and this is really important because it makes it look like the bevels are there, which is another really important element for lighting. Okay, you want to make it look like details are there even if they're not there sometimes, because this shit will be hard to model. Sure, the texture fits. Of course it takes 6 years to load when I'm on stream. I had this thing today where I was just sitting here thinking as my Blender was open and everything just went black. My computer just restarted unprompted. I didn't tell him what to do. Isn't he supposed to listen to me? But anyway, look. It looks like these details here are modeled, but they're not modeled. They're textured, right? This is how they make models detailed for video games and shit like that, okay? It's just a surface. So that's a technique I use for this toothbrush. And then we're going to set up the scene. We got one section for the modeling, then we got another section for the texturing materials. Then we're going to talk about setting up the scene. We're going to set up a bunch of different scenes. So it's going to be a pretty long course. It's going to be pretty difficult shit. It's unlockable, so even for beginners, there's like a beginner tutorial. We're modeling something sort of like this, some simple shit. And then once you get to that, you get to part 2, which is like perfume. And then the third one's going to be the hardcore toothbrush modeling and all this craziness about professional grade animations, right? But anyway, you can see here that I used a lighting technique, which is basically the lighting technique that I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, guys, you don't gotta be in Blender for 2 years to understand this. If you open up Blender for the first time yesterday, try this. Okay, try this. Just do remember what I'm about to tell you. Write this shit down. All right, you can't ever forget this. The key here is how you light your projects. Okay, I think it was, wait a second, I already got it open somewhere. We got this one, I can close this one down. Don't save nothing. Look, don't save nothing. So the problem is, this is the problem that the mistake that most people make. They just throw a light in there, a lamp, all right? In this case, the light source in this scene is just one area light, all right? Now, of course, an area light is better than a point light. That's probably better than a sunlight, although sunlight ain't bad. But the problem is that you have light coming from one direction. You have light just coming from one direction, which you will never really find in real life. Now, in some scenes, this can work if you just have one light, but this is only in some situations. All right, let me go back to my Instagram, and I'll show you a scene where just one light source worked. But for the most part, this isn't going to work. And still, you got to pay attention. On my Instagram, I have this car model. Here, I have this Porsche, and there's just one light source above. Okay. However, the difference here is that the environment is not black. In this case, with the Rolly, the environment's black. So if you look at it from camera view, everything's just black. The reflections are just black. So certain parts of the model are reflecting a completely black background, which makes it look pretty shitty. Whereas over here, I paid close attention to the environment so that the environment would also reflect from the object. It's something you always gotta keep in mind. But this is how simple it is, guys. What you have to do is have light coming from a couple of different directions. You don't gotta use an HDRI. You can use an HDRI, but in this case, it's probably better if you just set this up with lights. First thing that I always like to do with this type of stuff, the simplest kind of background you can ever use for something like this, it's like this. You add yourself a plane. We're gonna throw it down where it's no longer under the influence of the lights, which we're gonna have up here around the watch. And then down there, let me throw in my screencast keys. Down there, you're gonna add a light, area light. You're gonna turn the shape into disk. And someone told me this only works in cycles. I think you can't do this shit in Eevee, right? I think in Eevee it doesn't let you change the shape. Yeah, it does. Sometimes it lets me, sometimes it doesn't let me. I don't know why. But anyway, of course you gotta be in cycles because everything looks cuter in cycles. And this light is going to create a sort of gradient for our background around this watch. All right, this is what you saw me do in the watch that I just showed you in my portfolio. You're gonna see this shit all over the place. This is the simplest way to visualize projects. If you walk around town, if you go to the bus station right now, if you go to the shop, if you go to the mall, you're gonna see a bunch of product advertisements. For example, I was in duty free at the airport in Stockholm the other day. Maybe it was in Tallinn. I can't remember where this particular scenario took place. But I was looking at the perfumes they had on display. You know, this is the biggest bullshit in the world. It's tax-free. You don't have to pay for taxes because it's like international territory or something. Tax-free, so you can get a better deal. Bullshit. Because what they do is they just crank up the prices, so it ends up being the same shit. It's the biggest scam in the world. Don't ever buy nothing in duty-free. It's the biggest fucking robbery in the world. But anyway, I was looking at the little advertisements which they have. You have a section with perfumes from this company, perfumes from that company. I was looking at the pictures. I'm looking. Anybody can make this. This is so easy to make. You just look at it, guys. Pay attention next time you're flying. Pay attention next time you're going somewhere. Take some pictures. Pull your phone out. Take some pictures. Pay attention. You're gonna see that a lot of times it's just a product with just a background, which is a gradient, a couple of other little details, maybe a couple of fucking leaves, a couple of little flowers flying around or something. But it's just a pretty simple fucking picture, pretty simple scene. And a lot of times you're gonna see what I'm showing you right now. So what you're gonna see right now is I'm gonna take this light. We're gonna take the background. We're gonna give it a material. Let's make it darker. Let's make it dark gray. And now you take this light and you play around with the power. Give me a better frame, man. Let's do a 1080 by 1920 because this is your classic Instagram reel kind of format. But you can also do a 1:1. So 1080 by 1080, or you want to double it when you render it and then you shrink it down later so it's nicer. But anyway, you're going to add some sort of a little gradient. Maybe if you want to change the color of the background to the color of something on your object, on your model. For example, in this case, we could use some sort of a green background because we got a green face for the watch. You want to play around with this a little bit. Change up the hue a little bit. Try playing around with the saturation. If you turn it up too high, I don't think it looks right. Somewhere around here, I think that looks pretty cute. Something like this, right? And you set up a little gradient. And by the way, your roughness is going to be really important here. The lower your roughness, or the higher your roughness, the softer the lighting in the background is going to be. So you got to play around with this a little bit. You got to change the position of this light in the background. You got to change its size. For example, I'm scaling it down now, or I can scale it up to make it larger. You can see that changes the shape. I can pull it up on the Z-axis. I can push it down. That makes it sharper. You can also animate this So look how cool that looks. This is the type of shit you see on billboards, isn't it? Okay. Maybe we're gonna scale it up on the y-axis. This is super, guys. This takes you 10 seconds if you do this by yourself. Throw a plane in the background, place a light facing that plane. There you go. That's step number 1. Now we already got this light over here, but let me show you something really important. I'm gonna delete this light. Something really important, which I use most of the time when I'm visualizing something. This is gonna be super important. This is gonna be super important. Most of the time, you're gonna want to use something like this. You add another light. And notice how I don't have any other lights in my scene at this point. You're going to place it underneath your model, and you're going to rotate that shit by 180 degrees so it's pointed upwards. Okay? Now this is a very, very tiny scene. A very tiny scene. Let's just scale everything up by like 10. 10. Just so it's a little easier. Oh, fuck it, I already set up the background. I don't want to do that all over again. But anyway, we have our light. We have this new light behind our model, which is facing us. It's pointing towards the model from the back, all right? Look what that does. If we get rid of the light in the background, let's turn it off. It creates this outline. So this light, which I placed below the model, it creates this outline around your object. Guys, how much easier can this shit be? Just please take note of what I'm telling you right here. This is gonna change. This is gonna change whatever you got in your portfolio right now. Chances are you got a good model, but you fucked it up because of your lighting. All right, because you don't have something like this. And a lot of times, what I like to do is I also like to change the color of this light. For example, if you make it a little bit blue, it looks nice and fancy. Maybe we're gonna reduce the power a little bit. Maybe we're gonna. What you can do is you can animate the power too. All right. So for example, you can start off with power maybe 2, maybe 1. Okay. Power 1, frame 1 on the timeline. You click over here to keyframe that shit. What's happened to my screen? Frame 1, you want to keyframe that shit with this button. You want to take it up to frame 40. And now you want to turn up the power. Okay? And then you keyframe that again. And now what's going to happen is, as you play your animation, the light is slowly going to turn on. Maybe you want to slow it down a little bit. You want to change your interpolation. But at the beginning, it's going to be dark and then it's going to turn on. And that's going to look pretty cute too. But the point is, you want one light facing the background, which is creating this gradient effect. This was on like 40 or something. One light on your background, which is going to be creating this gradient thing. The background is going to be colored. And by the way, it's really important how big this plane here is, because if it's large, it's producing light from this entire surface. So light is shooting around in every direction, which means this light is also reaching this side. If your light is too small, you can see that the lit area is shrinking, so you can no longer see it from top view if your light underneath is too small. But as you scale it up, you start to see the light on the outlines of the object, right? So this gives it a sort of mystery vibe. You're gonna see this all the time in advertisements anyway. When you're watching TV, when you're at the cinema, when you're watching YouTube ads and all this shit. I mean, I know most of you guys use ad blocker anyway. Who the fuck doesn't use ad blocker? But when you look at ads, when you go anywhere, most of the time it's going to be some shit like this. You see the outline, they try to tease you, then they put a scene of a chick, some stock footage of a lady in a dress with a handful of sand, and she's spraying it around like she's spraying somebody's ashes, something like this. But a lot of times you're going to see exactly what I'm showing you right here. I don't want to make this too powerful. I want to make this something like, let's say, 250. 250. It's interesting that now we see this light even reflecting off of this little ring here, maybe because of the size of the surface, but it doesn't matter. So far, one light underneath pointing at the object facing us, one light pointing at the background which has a color, and you want to play around with the roughness and all this, and so far, we're on the right track. Now you want to start add your lights, which are going to light your scene, which are going to make your object a little bit more visible, okay? So now we can start to think about an area light above the object. Look how powerful this shit is. I'm going to turn that into disk 2, give me 1, give me something like this. And by the way, you don't want to start by adding the top light first. You want to do that in the end. What you want to do instead is, you now have this light here, place your 3D cursor onto your object. In this case, Shift S. We're going to place the fucker onto the watch. Set the pivot point to 3D cursor so that now, when you select your light, you can rotate it around the object. Okay? You can place it anywhere around the object. For example, we can place it at an angle. We can rotate it around as we want to. If it's medium point, now you're just rotating the light around its own origin point, which we don't want. We want to pivot the fucker so we can place him somewhere. So for example, we're going to rotate him by minus 90 degrees around the y-axis, and then And guys, I'm gonna get to the chat later and answer some questions when I'm finished, when I'm through explaining what I'm explaining to you now. What do we do? What do we do? Something got super bright. Now it's over. Okay. So this light here, you can see that now we got our 3D cursor over here. We're in camera view. And as you place it around the object, it creates light on certain sides of this watch. Alright, look how cool that looks. It's like time is passing. Time is passing. It's spinning like the fucking clock. Alright? We want to place one of those over here. Maybe we want to place this one a little bit higher. Maybe we want to make it a little bit more powerful. A little bit more powerful. And by the way, this is also something you can animate. Place one over here. Maybe push a little bit further backwards. Just, you got to play around with it a little bit. There's no... you can't just literally copy what I'm doing right now and just literally copy the numbers. You got to set this up for your own scene. Your scene is going to have a different scale, different materials, different colors, different kind of environment. Everything's going to be different. But just think about the placing of the lights, and then you got to play around with them. Move them back and forth. Look, when you're holding the light, press G and double Z, and that's going to move it back and forth. So when you're camera view, you can control its position very easily. G and double Z. Okay, it's moving along the local Z axis. And then once you got one, now you want to duplicate it with Shift D, and maybe you want to place another one onto the other side. Okay, see how cute that looks? Maybe we want to scale this one down so that this reflection over here becomes a little bit smaller. So let's scale it down. Let's scale it way down. Just keep in mind that when you do this, the light's going to become sharper. Okay, because the light strength, the same amount of light is still produced from this light source, except it's concentrated onto a smaller area. But anyway, now we got this. Now we got this other light set up over here. And this is when you can finally start thinking about your main light, which is finally going to reveal your model in its full glory. So we're going to have a light over here. We're going to make that disc with a power of something super small. This is a super small model. Okay? Something like this. Make it smaller. Make it weaker. Make it even less. Okay? Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe 9 here. Okay, so now you can see that there's a day and night difference from what it was before. Let's see if I can find the original file. I'll probably save this, so now it's been overwritten. But you remember how simple it was in the beginning. In the beginning, all we had was... Get rid of all this. In the beginning, all we had was just a simple area light right here. A simple little area light, which had a small power value. And it was something sort of like this. Okay, that's what we had in the beginning. Whereas now we have something that looks a lot more beautiful. Now, again, this is where you want to start paying attention to the little details. This is where you want to start thinking about your reflections from the details. So, for example, I believe that on this watch, maybe I'm talking out of my ass now, but on this watch that I just showed you, I paid close attention to the glass on top of the face of the watch, right? You know, the glass, this part. That's also going to be reflecting some light, because if you look at it in real life, especially if you look at it at an angle, the fucker's reflecting light. Look, let me show you. You see the glass? Fucking hell. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see how the glass is reflecting light from the environment, and that's what's also going to make it look cute when you look at it from an angle. Let's see if I can find a shot here which shows you what I'm talking about. Come on. Ajde, brate. I think I removed the glass for this one. Probably this one too. Yeah, now I can't even show you. Now I made myself look stupid because I can't show you what I'm talking about. But normally you want to pay attention to this because it's going to also play a big role. See, I think we can see a little bit of that over here. And making glass in Blender is really, really simple. But you got to be careful because when you add a glass BSDF shader in Cycles, it doesn't let through any light. So it's going to cast a shadow. So you got to combine it with a transparency shader. You want to mix those two with a mix shader node, and then you can kind of combine them too, so there's a little bit of light going through, but it's also transparent and it's acting like glass. You can see a little bit of distortion here. And one of the things which is really important, which most people also miss, because most people don't think about this, because most people think if you got the shape down, that should be enough. And I've been struggling this for years when I was starting. I don't know why it took me so long to figure this shit out, alright? And I always talk about this in my videos. Look at this, the hand the hand of this watch right here. Let's look at some of the pieces over here. Notice how this part here looks pretty nice. This looks all good, but this part looks a little bit like Minecraft, doesn't it? It looks a little bit like those old games you used to play on the PlayStation. And the reason this is happening is because the shading is way too sharp, alright? What you have to do, let me show you a simpler example. I see he tried to do this, but I think he scaled it down in object mode, or he scaled it down to make it thinner, so now the effect got ruined. But what you're supposed to do is you have to pay attention to your bevels. Let me show you a little cube here. A little cube, let's make that metallic, so you can see what I'm talking about. Notice how right now this looks like a cube which came from outer space. Completely impossible shape. It's way too sharp, right? But if you add a little bit of bevel, just like this, Control B, shape value 1, 2 segments, and you go object shade smooth, now you got light gathering around the edges. So now it looks a million times cuter. It looks a little bit more realistic. You always have to do this because these lines are going to be highlighted in your model, in your render, and it's going to make a massive difference. On little pieces like this, this is where you want to change the bevels. This is where you want to bevel everything to. So if you do some close-up shots, they don't look too sharp, unless this particular watch is supposed to have extremely sharp shading. But for the most part, you're going to want to bevel these at least a little bit. So select everything. Select the sharp edges. You can do Shift G, select similar face angles. It doesn't let me do it here. I don't know why. I guess they're not the same fucking angle. But anyway, then you're just going to do Control B, add a tiny little bevel there. And now when you go Object Shade Smooth, all of a sudden there's extra little bit of detail, extra little features, extra something to look at, which makes it look cute, which makes it look impressive. This is also something that happened over here on these parts on the outside of the watch. As you can see, this here has a nice bevel, which is why the lighting behaves differently. You can see there's a line. It's not just a sharp transition between one color and another color. This here is a little bit sharper, but I can see there's still a little bit of beveling. I would make the bevel a little bit wider to make it look cuter, but in any case, that was also a mistake that Mr. Patching originally had. There he is in the chat with us. Mr. Patching, did I say your name right? Kieran, I googled it. I was watching some interview with some guy whose name was Kieran, and they introduced him. This gentleman's name is Kieran, I don't know what he was. That's what I had to do to find out how to pronounce your name correctly. But I'm probably still going to call you Mr. Patching until the end of days, because I like that. I think it sounds cool. But Mr. Patching, originally when he sent me this model for some feedback in the Digitally Enhanced Club, and he did this for a challenge, a masterpiece challenge. We had a challenge where I challenge everybody, guys, whatever your niche is, whatever you're doing as a 3D artist, for example, product visualization. We have Ishak doing a character sculpting, all right? Whatever your niche is, take a project, challenge yourself, make it hard as fuck, take a project, and you're going to use that as your masterpiece in your portfolio. And I always like to talk about Mr. Danrik 3D, Mr. Daniel from Tanzania. I always like to use him as an example because he uses his portfolio on Instagram to get his clients. He gets paid from his Instagram account, because on his Instagram account he has this thing right here. Now I see he added some new stuff, but when you would go to his profile, the first 3 things would be this beautiful controller right here. That would be the first row. So this is the model that he would show off more than anything else. So this is the most important part. It gives you a good first impression, all right, when you have something like this. So anybody who looks at your profile, they'll immediately see, wow, look at this project that he did over here. It looks absolutely fucking gorgeous. So you want to have one flagship project on your profile, and of course you want to keep updating this shit, so you're always trying to make it better, you're always trying to make it look nicer. And that was the point of this challenge that we did in DEC. So I told Mr. Patching, well, I didn't tell him, he decided to do the watch himself, but he challenged himself. This is hard for him, Topology, a lot of hard work on this, and now he came up with a nice watch, and now he's going to be able to throw this shit into his portfolio. So when you go to his portfolio, when anybody sees him on Instagram, which they will, because another thing we teach inside the Digitally Enhanced Club is how to promote your content, how to promote your portfolio by creating content, by making reels, which is going to bring a bunch of people to your profile. As you can see on my profile on Instagram, because of my reels that I post all the time about all kinds of different shit. People view these reels because you give them a little bit of tips, you show them some work, and when you get a reel which gets 60,000 views, and when you get a reel which gets 500,000 views or something like that, and this is what we talk about all the time. We do challenges for this shit as well inside the school, so if you want to learn to do this as well, this is what we talk about. So you grow your portfolio, so people come onto your profile because they see your video, so they follow you. So when you post something else, they're going to see it. So people who are interested in 3D or interested in product visualization, they're going to follow you, they're going to come to your profile. Wow, look at what this guy does. Look at what Danrik does. Okay, this is what happens to him. I get people hit me up all the time. You put your email there, people send you emails. Hey, can you make this project for me? Can you make that project for me? A lot of times it's a project about something which is not related to my niche. For example, I talked about this in the last live stream. I had a person reach out to me for something that I don't specialize in. I can do it, but I can't do it as well as my friend Ishak, who I know from the Digitally Enhanced Club. Okay, so if somebody reaches out to me with a project I can't handle, I can talk to somebody else about it, and we can do it together, or they can do it. We can collaborate on anything that we ever want to do. Okay, and this is another important thing where a lot of people also miss out on good projects, miss out on good opportunities because that's not for me. I can't do that. Have somebody else do it. Maybe you do a part of it. You work with somebody else. You split the fucking money, and now your client's happy. Maybe they'll come to you with something else. And then when you do this for somebody, when you work on a project together with somebody, you cut them in on your project. When they get a project they can't handle, they'll probably think of you, so they'll throw a project in your way as well. Network is net worth, guys. Keep that shit in mind. Nothing's gonna happen if you don't know people. So you gotta be on social media. You gotta be talking to people. You gotta be hanging out with people. Now, where the fuck were we with this Rolex watch? Yeah, this is what Mr. Patching did for his portfolio piece. So now, when he throws in the Rolly, with the nice lighting and the nice bevels and everything, it's gonna look 1,000 times better. It's gonna look 1,000 times better, okay? And now you can throw in some text. If we go to, for example, I don't know, Rolex advertisement. I don't know. Let's find something. Let's find something on Google. Rolex advertisement. You throw in a little bit of text. You put on a little logo. You put on something. See how simple this shit is? Look, it's just a fucking white background. It's just a white background with some text. And this is the type of shit they put on bus stations. I don't know if Rolex advertise themselves on bus stations. But in any case, this is what a lot of companies do. Here you go. Super simple. Super simple. Just some cute lighting, a simple background with some text. This is all it takes. And you fill up your portfolio with this type of shit. Maybe you animate it because usually they just got pictures. People just got pictures of, but you can come in there with an animation. Make an animation. So you fill up your portfolio with this type of stuff. It's super simple. It doesn't have to be any harder than that. You don't need nothing crazy to make your shit look really nice in Blender. Okay, when you're visualizing products, you're gonna do this type of shit all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen good models get completely ruined by bad lighting. So this is a simple trick, guys. You gotta remember this shit. A couple of lights around your model. One simple light on top. You don't want to make that too powerful. One light behind your model, which is facing you, which is lighting your model from the back, so you get a little outline like I showed you in the beginning. And then you have a background, and there's a light shining onto the background to create the cute little gradient. And you want to fuck around with that a little bit. You want to animate it and all this. You want to make everything. And by the way, here's another example of how I animated these lights on this little reel I made over here. Let me see, where is it? I think it was this reel right here. There you go. I animated these lights. I made a shitty little splash. I didn't want this shit to render for 7 days. I just made this for the reel. And this is the toothbrush I was talking to you guys about. This is a new section of the course inside the Blender school. And we're going to animate the shit out of this toothbrush too. So far we got the model, we got the textures and everything, and we're about to release some animation tutorials as well. But see how this is where I animated the lights. So in the beginning, dark background, just a couple of lights coming in from the side. And then as it progresses, the background turns on. You get some more powerful lights in the front, which you can see from these reflections over here. And I got a couple of lights because each light produces a line on this object because it's cylindrical, okay? So this line here is one light, and you can see it gets darker, and then again it's brighter from the background. And also the reflections on the water are important. So I also got a light facing this toothbrush, facing us in the background, because then it reflects from the water. And also the gradient reflects from the water here. And this is what makes your shit look 1,000,000 times nicer. Okay, here's another super simple lighting, just simple water, simple background. I got inspiration for this perfume bottle that I'm showing you right here. I was walking around. I told you guys this in one of my videos. Probably was the last video I uploaded. Just walking around, looking at billboards and shit, as should you. I saw this beautiful Galileo bottle they're advertising all over town. They're just that simple. It's really just that simple. This is what they put on a billboard. Somebody got paid money to make this, which you can do in an hour. But the most important thing is your lighting. You can put a fucking monkey there. You can put a default cube there. You just gotta reshape it a little bit, do something to add some detail to the model. Add a couple lights, boom, you're good. That's it. That's all you gotta do. It's really that simple. So that's the core of today's lesson. It's just a couple of very simple steps. So now let's look at the chat. Let's see if we got any good questions. Let's see if we got any good insights from the chat. Okay. Can you roast my stuff? I can roast your stuff in my Blender school if you want to. You can also book a call with me. I can give you a full full feedback for anything you want on your portfolio, on your client acquisition strategy, on your marketing strategy, on your website, anything you want. I can help you out with this if you want some full detailed feedback and advice. There's a link in the description. Show me the texture nodes for the floor. Are you talking about the water floor? I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. Look, go to my Instagram. There's also a link in the description. And very simple tutorial for the water. I think it was this one right here. I made two of them. Yeah, the water down here. So look, take this link. I'll drop it in the chat. Just go check out this reel on my Instagram page. It's the second one. It's the second toothbrush thing I got down on my reels page. Check it out. It's super simple. Just a normal map or a bump map made by a noise texture node. Destructive modeling. No matter how do you set up your workflow to keep things flexible without committing too early. You don't want to use bevels. For example, I bevel pretty much every edge for the reasons that we talked about here just a couple of minutes ago to make everything look cute. You don't want to bevel stuff. This is just a tip that I can give you from my experience, the first thing that comes to mind. You don't want to bevel stuff until you're sure that your model is ready to go, okay? For example, as I'm modeling over here, now I want to make it look cute, so I want to add some bevels. I'm going to select all my sharp edges, Control B. Control B, it doesn't let me fucking bevel because of this part up here. Add a little bevel, and when I add a bevel, let's set that up correctly. When I add a bevel, well now if I want to extrude a section from over here, well now I gotta select all these faces. Maybe I want to change the shape. Maybe I want to make this part curved here. Well now I gotta bevel in the way, so I can't just do Control B and place a massive curve over here. So it becomes harder to model. All right. So what you do is you don't add your bevels until later, but a lot of times you need a preview of what your shit's gonna look like. So instead you can select all these, item mean bevel weight 1, and then you add modifier generate. Where's bevel? Here. You set the method to weight, profile all the way up, 2 segments. Okay, let's go object shade smooth so we can see it. Reduce the amount a little bit, like this. And now it looks like I got bevels here, but I don't. So I can still model whatever I want to model. Okay. For example, this part over here, I can now bevel this without anything getting fucked up. That's one example of non-destructive modeling. You also don't want to apply your subdivision surface modifiers. So modifiers, you don't want to apply them because once you apply them, you're done. You can't undo them anymore. That's one tip I would give you right off the bat for non-destructive modeling. And also, a lot of times when I'm about to do something, when I'm about to maybe apply a modifier, I usually duplicate this and throw it to the side before I apply the modifier, and then I can take this one, apply the modifier here. So I fuck this one up after a couple of steps. I can't undo it anymore. But if I can't go back no more, I can just bring back this one, and this one is still in the pre-modifier condition. I think topology is what I really messed up in. Well, lucky for you, I got a free topology guide. There's a link in my description. It's like a document, 16 pages or something. You can download it in the description, totally for free. It's gonna explain to you everything you gotta know about topology. It's everything that I ever use that you gotta know for topology. You're gonna have it in there. Now, a lot of people ask me, Arjen, when does topology matter? Why is topology important? Why it doesn't matter as long as shit looks good? Well, without good topology, you often can't make shit look good, because if you have bad topology, it's going to cause you all sorts of problems. I see this all the time. Why am I getting this shading problem? Why does this not work? Why can't I do this part? How am I supposed to create this part? It's because of bad topology, right? It causes all sorts of issues. If you want to see some of those issues, check out the guide. Check out the document. It's totally for free. You got no reason not to get it. And then you're going to understand why topology is so important, and you're going to really quickly implement these principles immediately, and all of a sudden your workflow is going to be a million times better. You're going to be able to create stuff that you were never able to create before. Q-run, I nailed it. That's what I'm talking about. For super small bevels, let me go back to my watch, so we can look at the watch here. You can use bevel node and shaderator. That's right, you can also use the bevel node. That also works pretty well. Of course, cycles only. Just got a 12,000 USD deal today using Blender to model some products. That's fucking incredible. That's exactly what I like to hear. Jar Bear, send me a message on Instagram. I want to know the story behind this. This is really interesting. A really good story. I think a lot of people are going to want to hear about this shit too. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about this. Where were we? My shit just jumped down to the bottom. Someone always asks me, what is your hardware? Maybe I should make a video. My hardware. Let me pull up DX diagnose. I named my computer Slave. What is this shit, guys? On my second screen, you can see the whole thing, but here it's cropped, and I can't show you the whole thing. But anyway, system model Stealth 16. That's MSI Stealth 16. The laptop looks like shit, but it performs pretty well. Intel Core Ultra 9 185H22 CPUs, 2.5 gigahertz. I don't even know what the shit means, but it's pretty good. Memory 32 gigs of RAM. GPU is an NVIDIA 4070 laptop GPU with 8 gigs of VRAM, 24 gigs of approximate total memory, 16 gigs of shared memory, whatever the fuck that means. Anyway, the bigger the number, the better. And this is pretty damn good. This is the best performing system for Blender that I've ever had. And I've had a whole bunch of pretty good ones. I had a MacBook Pro, M3 Pro. It was a mean machine. I don't remember the exact details, but it was a mean fucking machine. And it didn't perform too well in Blender at all. So the same scene, if I would render on that machine, on that MacBook, it would take, I don't know, if it would take a minute to render there, it would take me 20 seconds on this machine here. So, or 15 seconds on this machine here. So NVIDIA works much better with Blender. I also had a Razer Blade 15, 16, 17, similar specs to what I have in this laptop now. It performed slightly slower with Blender, but the laptop was slick. It was fucking beautiful. It was the most beautiful machine. It looked like Batman's Lambo. It was black as night. Beautiful keyboard. It was It was cool as fuck. Okay, good speakers and everything. Burnt the GPU in the first week. Had to take it back. I gave my money back, and I got this one. And this machine was also cheaper. Can you share your render settings? Well, there's not really much to talk about there. Cycles render, GPU compute. Of course, you want to enable your GPU over here in your system. In edit property, preferences system. I go over here to CUDA, and you want to check your GPU here. Someone told me don't check the fucking the core. Don't check the CPU. It makes it slower. I don't know why, but it's true. That's it. And then samples from my viewport. I usually roll with something like 24 or something, and of course denoise. And then when you render it, probably gonna use at least 512 to render it. Of course denoise it, but not too much to talk about. It's pretty simple. I've heard many people insist that paid add-ons like hard ops and box cutter are necessary for professional modeling, but I can remember you have a different opinion. Can I hear more about that? Well, again, that's all there is to it. In my experience, you don't need none of these add-ons for professional modeling. What I think is you should be able to create anything if you're trying to become a professional. If you want to get employed at a studio, all right, you got to be able to create shit without using these add-ons. They're gonna want to check your topology skills a lot of times. I just had a conversation with my good friend Alex from Russia. He was also a member of a digitally enhanced club, and he just got a full-time job at an advertising studio in the Netherlands. Maybe it's the same fucking studio that I spoke about in my last video. I gotta ask him that, but he said that topology was a really important part in his process of getting hired in the studio. And I'm gonna have him. I just spoke to him. I'm gonna have a live call with him in the digitally enhanced club. We do a lot of live lectures to talk about a bunch of different shit like this. So I'm gonna have him interview him to talk about his experience and what his experience was like getting a job at a studio, so you guys can learn from him. You guys can see how he did it as well. But they had to check his topology, and he had to know topology. If he was just using box cutter and running away from topology like most people do, he wouldn't be able to pass the fucking topology test. So you gotta be able to create stuff without using add-ons. The add-ons can be helpful, but you don't need them. They're gonna make things a lot easier a lot of times, but you definitely don't need them, and you shouldn't rely on them. I never got any of these fucking add-ons at all, and I have modeled 3D professionally You can ask Thomas Collin. He's been in the game like probably 12 years. He'll tell you the same thing. Being very good at one specific niche, yeah. Is it advisable to focus on one niche of products, for example, gadgets, electronics, cosmetics, or it doesn't really affect that much? Well, as long as your field is, if your field is product visualization, it's okay if you got a bit of electronics here, a little bit of makeup there. It's still product visualization, so people who want to advertise their products, they're going to be able to come to your profile. Hey, look, this is the guy that advertises products, all right? So that's the most important thing. What you shouldn't do is combine totally different niches, like you got a electronics, you got a watch on one part of your portfolio, then you're making barrels for a video game, or then you're doing sculpting for characters. You don't want to mix it that way. You got architectural visualization here, like me. Look at me fucking around right now, because I keep talking about this, but right now I fucked up because I got my portfolio is filled with a bunch of messy shit. I got a car, I got a watch, I have wine, I got a shitty little airplane, then I got some architectural visualization, then I got electronics, I got guns, so now it's all over the place. So I got to tidy this shit up. And by the way, guys, let's talk about the lighting real quick. Same lighting technique that I just talked to you about was used in this piece over here. This scene right here. Same lighting, same setup. This scene right here, same exact lighting story. Okay, this is gonna get you through a bunch of different projects. Same lighting that I just talked about. This is an old model. I can see I still kind of use this. Is rendered with Eevee, so I could use the little bloom thing. Same lighting setup all over the place. It's all the same. I always use the same lighting. Let's talk about this one. Let's see this one. I got an HDRI here. The lighting could be a lot better on this one. Similar situation with this one over here. This gun over here. Well, this is a very different scene. But all the time I use the lighting technique that I talked to you about here in this video. When will you tell us how to use AI effectively for product visualization? I am working on a video for that. So I'm going to be the first guy who's going to say everybody's bitching and whining about AI taking your jobs. Fuck those people. We want to talk about how to. Forget about Blender. Well, you're still going to have to use Blender, okay? But you're going to be able to use AI to assist you. So you're not going to have to do everything in Blender. You're going to be able to use AI to help you. And if it comes to a point where AI can do all of it, or AI can make a 3D model for you because it's got 3D scanned information or whatever, you're going to know how to use AI. You're not going to have to use Blender anymore. Isn't that great? Now you can do what it normally took you 2 days to do. You're going to be able to do it in maybe 2 hours. Any tips on making cars with interiors? Topology is going to be pretty damn important there. References are really important. This is hard as fuck if you can't actually sit in the car and perform some measurements and look at. You're going to have to use a million different pictures, all right? Most of the time, if you're working from reference images from the internet for interiors, you're not going to be able to just find a blueprint for every different part of the interior. If you Google interior, Porsche 911 interior blueprint, you're not going to be able to find a blueprint. You're going to be able to find a blueprint for the exterior, but not the interior. So the proportions are really hard to do. So you got to pay close attention to that. You got to get a million different pictures from a million different angles, and be very careful with that. How do you figure out how to set up the scene for your product visualization to look professional and outstand? You look at how other people do it. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. For example, let's do I don't know, when you give me a company. Let's do fucking, I don't know. Let's go Apple. Apple. It's not what I had in mind. Let's go back to Rolex. You're trying to visualize a watch. You go online, Rolex advertisement, and you take a scene from over here and you recreate it. Again, go around town, try to recreate it if you're just starting out. You're not going to be able to figure out your own scenes if you're not experienced at doing this. Okay, if you don't have a couple of serious projects under your belt, you're not going to be able to come up with good scenes just from the top of your head. You got to use something as a reference because other people know how to do it, right? So if you can take, say, this, now you can set up a scene like that. You can set up a scene like this. Well, this is a real picture. But you can use this as inspiration here. You can set up something like this. So set up scenes that you see other people, that you see published content, and you take the scene from there, all right? And you try to recreate it in 3D. You try to copy the lighting, try to copy the environment, the camera positioning, the color scheme, and everything. You got to pay attention to all those things. How about post-production after render? If you render right, you're going to need minimal post-production. I usually just do a little bit of brightness contrast. I like to add a little bit of noise, colorless noise, to my renders. Let me see if I can find an example of this on my portfolio where I added some noise to the render where it's clearly visible, but I do this all the time, even if it's just a little bit. This one here, you can see that there's a little bit of noise on the background, just a little bit. That makes it look a lot more real. See where else I got a still picture, because I don't do it for videos, but probably I did it over here too. But Instagram makes it look shitty, so it looks all messy and choppy, but I almost always add a little bit of noise. That's a really important detail to add to your renders. Probably a little bit of noise here too, maybe not, I don't know, but a lot of times I like to add some noise. Brightness, contrast, hue, saturation a little bit. Maybe you want to add a little transparent layer of a certain color on top of the thing to control the feeling. And a lot of times you might want to download it to your phone. So you email yourself the rendered picture on your phone and just open up the image editor on your phone, because on your phone it's a better screen most likely than your computer. So you can see the colors better, and it's got very easy controls for manipulating the picture. So just play around with the filters a little bit. Don't overdo it. Don't make it look like shit. Brightness, contrast, sharpness, shadows, blacks, whites, noise, maybe a little bit of what we call vignette. A vignetta is a thing that you put on your sticker on your car when you drive through Hungary, when you drive through Slovenia, when you drive through the Czech Republic. You get a vignetta, the fucking thing, so that you're allowed to drive on the highway, right? You gotta pay for that. Well, you don't actually put it on yours. I don't know if they still do that. I just usually get it online. But anyway, I don't know why this black frame that you have around the black edges in post-processing is called a vignette. I don't know what the hell it has to do with the car thing. You recommend LinkedIn for networking as a product visualizer. I recommend LinkedIn for networking in any case, no matter what you're doing, okay? Because on LinkedIn, people are going to discover, people are going to look for things based on what you put in your description, based on what you put in your profile. I'm on LinkedIn, guys, so connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to chat with me. This is the place to talk about serious shit. When somebody messages you on LinkedIn, usually it's something serious. A lot of spam too, but usually people go to LinkedIn to talk business. Thomas Collin can tell you most of the jobs he's got went through LinkedIn. Where do you get your blueprints for cars? Google them. Do you think YouTube is a good way to get a following? Yeah, absolutely, but to get started, the easiest way is Instagram. But again, we have courses for this in the Digitally Enhanced Club in our Blender School. So you're gonna have to understand how the algorithms work. You're gonna have to understand how content works, how picking a niche works, how hashtags work, how constructing your initial profile before you start creating content works. But yeah, YouTube is definitely king. But it's a lot easier to get started on Instagram and then channel those people to your YouTube channel. Because on Instagram, it's super easy to get views, and then you just post a story, you post a link, you post something to bring them somewhere else. Because on YouTube, it's hard for people to connect with you initially, right? On Instagram, people just connect with you initially because they watch a bunch of short content, so they watch a bunch of shit, so they're going to run into your shit eventually too. But YouTube is the big one where you really establish a bond with your audience. PaintNet can't open 32-bit EXRs. Are there any better photo editing softwares? Photoshop. I don't know if GIMP can handle this. I don't like GIMP, but it's free and you can use it on all operating systems. How do you do the background of this watch? I showed you earlier in the stream. That was what the whole fucking stream was about. How much money do you as a Blender artist in the studio? You gotta write that shit properly, man. I don't work at a studio. But if you work at a studio, it depends on where you're gonna work. It depends on where you're gonna work. It depends on the country. It depends on... They're gonna try to lowball you. This is what happened to me when I talked about this in my video when I was gonna get hired. I don't want to work in a fucking studio because I like to work independently. I like to do freelance. I like to do my own projects and shit like that. I don't want somebody tell me, be here. Don't act like that. Button up your shirt, Aryan. Fuck you. I don't like being employed. So I don't work at a studio. But I went through the process of getting hired at a studio. And then I just ghosted him. Like I told you guys the story. I went through this shit with Thomas Collin. It was great. And then they're going to ask you what kind of salary do you expect. So you can lowball you. So you can tell them, if you're just starting out, you don't have the confidence to ask for 4,000 euro per month if you're just a beginner. You're going to say, you're going to say your bare minimum. I want to do 1,500 euro per month. I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. It depends on your position. I want to give you a higher number that I've heard. I think the highest number I've heard was somewhere around €12,000 per month, and this is in California, $12,000 per month. So in Europe, 3.5, 4,000 is gonna be like a regular 3D artist studio salary. 3.5, 4,000. Of course, you can't just jump into and get €5,000 right off the bat. As soon as you get employed at a studio, you're just starting out. Probably that's not gonna happen. You're gonna start on a more modest salary, but you're gonna work your way up over the years as you network with people. It depends on who you link up with. It depends on your country. It depends on a lot of different things. Google it. Ask ChatGPT. And also, this is why network is important. This is why you gotta talk to people online. Okay. And by the way, that's how you get your jobs. This is how you get invited to work at studios. I told you guys because it was because of Thomas Collin that I had the opportunity to work at a studio. It's because of other people who work in the industry. You can talk to them and they can hook you up with jobs because they know people who need help. So this is why you need friends, so you can ask them, hey, what kind of salary can I expect in the beginning? Because they're going to tell you if they have experience in your country, if you know people. If there's no good community for guys, try this. Try to focus on your country, because within a country, people will connect much more easily. All right. I told you guys about I spoke about this in a live stream in DEC, in the Blender School. When I made my Instagram profile in Croatian for my Balkan people, Adriana Logia right here. Go follow me, guys. If you're Balkan, go follow me there. But when I started posting just a couple of simple ass videos, I just got to start at 600 followers. I probably had like 5 people reach out to me. Hey, can you do this project? Can you want to collaborate with me on this? Can I hire you for this? 5 different people reach out to me just because of a couple of videos. I guess it's because people can connect with you better if you're from their country. A Croatian person or a Bosnian person or a Serbian person doesn't want to talk to some American guy. I got nothing in common. But if there's a Croatian guy, now all of a sudden it's probably the only guy doing this in Croatia, or there's very, very few of them. So it's much easier for people to run into you if you operate within your own country, and it's much easier to network with people because, hey, look, we're in the same place, we're the same people, we're in the same country, we're in the same place. I don't know if this works for America or China or something, but if you're from a smaller country, try that and build a community with your own people. For example, I'm going to start a Discord channel, another school community for my Croatian channel, so the Balkan people can join in there as well. And this is going to be a powerful network because we're all from the same country. We can hang out in real life. We can become much better friends if we're from the same place. Cutie asked me, if you want to learn how to model cute accessories in 2D to 3D, what's the best course I can invest in? Just want to get better at meshing and modeling. Yeah, so look, in the digitally enhanced club, this is my Blender course. I can talk about mine. I can talk about my course. In my course, we have classroom section. Blender Masterclass is the first thing right here. And this has a million different sections, okay? A million different videos. And this is all about just modeling tools, modifiers, everything that you ever see me use for modeling in Blender. I also talked about this in my Blender ebook. So if you just want general modeling skills, this is exactly what I would recommend to you personally. Or I don't know if there's any, I can't recommend to you any course which I've seen which talks about this shit in particular, but if you just want to get good at general modeling, this is what's going to help you out the most. So there's that, and then we also have some exercises where we model exercise 1, 2, 3. Like I told you guys, a toothbrush is one of them. I got a perfume bottle in there and shit like that. So after you learn about Blender, and look, we also got portfolio, networking, all this shit, how to get employed, how to do social media, all this type of shit. Unlockable, people can unlock shout-outs from me, you can do one-on-one sessions with me, everything's in here. So we covered everything in my course. Do you have tips on how to plan out animations, like scenes, the animation scene one? Again, look at other people, look at other animations and use those as ideas, as inspirations. I was working £1,200 a month, working full-time as a chef. Could barely pay my bills. Yeah, Kieran, Mr. Patching, you're in the UK, right? So in the UK, you should be able to get a much better salary than, for example, in Bulgaria or something, all right? So in the UK, I think £3,000 to £4,000 is definitely a realistic salary for a 3D artist. You can probably do this within the next couple of months if you play your cards right, okay? If you construct your portfolio properly, You put your watch in there, then maybe do another project for the next couple of weeks, and maybe do another one after that. Now you got 12 posts in your portfolio. When somebody looks at it, they think, wow, this guy is really good at this shit. And you just got to network with some people. You got to make some content, become known, talk to people, go to LinkedIn. Just connect with random people. UK, 3D artist. Netherlands, 3D artist. In the Netherlands, there's a lot of studios for this, clearly. And connect with other 3D artists and just try to start conversations with people. Talk to them. Maybe give some advice. Share some tips and stuff like that. Before you know it, you're going to make friends. You got to talk to them. You got to make connections with people, right? And before you know it, someone's going to see your portfolio, or you're going to find out about somebody who works at a studio that needs some extra help. So you can do this very quickly. I don't know if you've seen Mr. Patching in the Blender School. I don't know if you've seen the section for employment. I just had it on the screen here. There's a section for employment for how to play your cards if you want to get employed at a studio. So go check that out. That's going to help you. You can do this pretty damn quickly. If you get down to grinding this shit, a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months if it's a bad market, if you're really new to this, so you have nothing to back you up. But a couple of weeks of grinding, and you're going to be able to get yourself a job. Most people are too lazy to commit themselves to something, to do it all the time, to be looking for jobs properly in a routine, to have a routine where every day you spend a couple of hours working on sending applications, connecting with people, networking with people. But if you play your cards right, you're going to be able to pull it off. Do you know any website which can provide you with blueprints? There's a website called The Blueprints. Maybe now it's just Blueprints. But just Google Blueprints. Probably the first thing that comes up is going to be that website. Let me try and find it for you. The Blueprints. There you go. This one sells you vectors, but they're going to charge you. They're going to take like $25 for a vector blueprint. Okay, helicopter. Look, you can get some right here. So this is a pretty good website. The-blueprints.com. What's the most hyped up and popular city you've been to that turned out to be total shit? New York City. New York City is a fucking shithole. It's a crackhead infested dog hole. I was completely shocked by that. But it's a bunch of just weird fucking people. It's the kind of place, look, I'm from Europe. I'm from Croatia. I lived in Hungary. I lived in Poland. I've lived in Denmark. I've lived in Serbia. I've lived in Slovenia. I've been around the block, okay, in Europe. In Europe, in what you Western people call third world countries, like Serbia, Croatia, well, you don't call it a third world country, but less developed countries in the West, the beautiful fucking West, the great America, France. I've never, ever felt unsafe walking around at night, even in the sketchiest neighborhoods. I've never felt unsafe walking around in Europe. If you go to New York City, in broad fucking daylight, I wouldn't let my daughter walk around there by herself. That place is just full of fucking weirdos. In New York City, they're not even crackheads and hobos. It's just weird fucking people that just like dress like clowns. They're clearly not normal human beings. It's like they're playing a cartoon character. This is the kind of guy that's gonna shoot up a shop. I was just sitting there outside of a shop one time. I bought myself like some sandwich or something. I was just eating on the bench in New York City, broad fucking daylight. It's Tuesday. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's November, so it's getting dark. But it's still daytime. And I'm sitting there on the bench in front of the shop while my friends were still inside. I'm just sitting, minding my business, eating my motherfucking sandwich. And in comes this guy, and he looked like, you know who he reminded me of? I think I told this story before. He reminded me of that guy from that song. This is New York City, guys. This is unbelievable. New York City is a fucking disaster. That's that song from... Arms wide open, I stand alone. I'm no hero, and I'm not made of stone. Right or wrong, I can hardly tell. On the wrong side of heaven. Heaven, 5 Finger Death Punch. That's a song, okay? So in this song, they feature this dude, which reminds me of this fucking hobo that I was just telling you people about. In this song from 5 Finger Death Punch, they have this one guy in there. This hobo who gets into some argument with a guy, and then he recognizes him as his former buddy. This guy here. No. Where is he? I don't know which guy it is. One of the guys over here from this music video. Maybe this guy. I don't know. There's like a scene where this guy lashes out on his fucking buddy. Completely insane. It was that type of dude. Maybe it kind of looked like what's his name? Trevor from GTA. This type of dude, all fucked up and grumpy and walking around looking like a scumbag. Walks into the shop, starts causing problems, starts bothering people. There was like a bouncer in front of the shop, which is weird. You have a bouncer in front of like a vegan. It wasn't a vegan shop. It was like a Just like a nice food place, like an organic food place or something. They had to be a bouncer, security guy. Told him to get the fuck out. This guy's all like, no, I don't want to get out. He's causing problems, bothering people, and he comes out all grumpy because they kicked him out. He doesn't understand why these people are assholes, but it's because he's being a scumbag. Now he comes outside and looks around, and I'm like, fuck. And he looks at me. Fuck. And I'm just looking at him eating my sandwich. I'm not saying a word. I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I was 15 at the time. I'm just eating my sandwich, minding my own business, and he's like, that fucking sandwich. I don't know what he said. That fucking sandwich. You're making me hungry, you motherfucker. He walks away, all pissed off and shit, and just like keeps bothering people. I'm like, what the fuck? This type of shit doesn't happen where I'm from. I've never seen this type of shit before. Just the weirdest people just walking all over the place. New York City was an absolute fucking shithole. I would never want to live there. I never want to go back. I want to go back there again just so I can experience once again if it's going to be that fucking shitty as it was when I went there. Unbelievable. This only happens in the United States of America. This shit doesn't happen in China. I was just watching videos on my phone with my mom. I showed her Philadelphia ghetto. You know, you got the crack streets. It's absolutely fucking atrocious. Look up Philadelphia night ride ghetto. Just crackheads all over the place, sleeping on the floor. You know, the people all crooked and just sleeping, bent over, and just like zombies and shit. All over. It's just an absolute disaster. It looks like hell on earth. You don't see this kind of shit in China. I googled China ghetto on YouTube. See a couple of vlogs. No crackheads. It's not a nice place, but there's no crackheads. People out using their phones. Nobody's getting robbed. If I pull out my phone in Philly at night, I'm not going to keep it for more than 5 minutes. Someone's going to shoot me over that. London, same story. I've heard. I haven't been to London, but it's absolutely fucking shocking when you find out what's going on in London. London, the best place in Europe where everybody wants to go for a better opportunity. You get stabbed for nothing. There's stabbings every day. It's unbelievable. Completely out of control. Burglary. People coming in there with no fucking documentation. Absolutely shocking. Completely fucking unbelievable what's happening. And I don't want to go to Paris. I don't want to go to Berlin. I don't want to go to Frankfurt. I don't even want to go to the Netherlands no more because I've seen this the weirdest fucking people. And when you go to Netherlands, when you go to Sweden, Denmark, you're not gonna walk around for 10 minutes without seeing somebody who's like a transgender. Like there's like a dude that dresses like a girl. It's like I told you guys about this old grandpa wearing a skirt, ponytail. It's a granddad. Granddad's fucking beard and face. He's got a ponytail, skirt on, heels, makeup and shit. It's disgusting. I don't want to see this type of shit when I'm out in public. Then there's all these people from Africa, third world countries, walking around spitting over there, being loud and acting all aggressive. But get the fuck out of here. I don't want to go to these places. It's shocking. Western Europe is done. Poland is a beautiful place. Go to Warsaw. Absolutely beautiful place. Can I work in 3D while studying at university? Hell yeah, that's what I did. Is it possible to balance between them if you got discipline? If you could drop the fucking video games, if you drop the weed, okay? When you come from you, what are you studying 24 hours a day? No, nobody's studying that long. I've seen this shit all the time. The free time students just fuck around, drink, smoke weed, play video games. None of that shit. When you get home from your uni, that's when you sit on your computer, grind out a couple of hours. Absolutely, it can be balanced. I used to live in London, says Nathan Box, and I almost didn't get out alive. Yeah, I want to go check out London. I have some very good friends in London. Some of my best friends live in London. So, we've been talking about that. I've been planning to pay them a visit. So if I go to London, shit, man, I want to document this. I want to see what it's like over there. But you can't pull your phone out there, your iPhone, and be filming on the street. Someone's going to take it out of your hand from what I heard. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe. We'll see what's going to happen. How would you model tanks with cast turrets? Cast turrets. Subdivision surface modifier. Start low poly, block out, then apply one level of subdivision surface, change the shape with some proportional editing and whatnot. I think I have a video about this somewhere on my channel. You're 100% right about Europe. I flee to Japan. Don't want to stay in France. This country is over, man. Yep, there you go. Hey Aryan, what is your experience living in Serbia? Well, I'm from Croatia. I'm from Zagreb. And I was 6 years old when I moved to Serbia. I was there until I was 10, so this was a long time ago. I can't really remember. Totally decent place. I mean, there's a lot of gypsies there, for example, and if there's a lot of gypsies, they're bound to run into all kinds of messiness also. I remember this one place, maybe now it's gone. I think they probably removed it now. This is 15 fucking years ago. But there was this bridge in Belgrade. Maybe it was another city. Maybe it was Niš, or maybe it was, what's the other one? What's the other big city? Fucking hell, I can't. There was Niš, Belgrade, there was another. Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. But you go on this bridge, huge bridge, the entrance of the city, and for as far as you can see, like a river, like imagine the Hudson River, Except the basin is not filled with water. It's filled with gypsy garbage houses. And then you got these ladies walking around with dead babies begging, no arm on. It's just there was a lot of that nonsense going on in Serbia. But Serbian people are cool. I'm Croatian, so Serbian people are my fucking people practically. Of course, when you say that, people get mad. Croatian people are gonna tell me no, they're not our people. They're assholes. Serbian people are gonna say no, you're not one of us. Fuck you. Fuck you. In my book, we're the same people. We speak the same goddamn language. Serbian people are cool as fuck. Anybody who's still hanging on to the past because of the war, you're a fucking asshole. Tips for visiting London is not to walk around with anything expensive under your hand, so I've heard. Not to wear a nice watch, so I've heard. People fly by at 40 miles per hour on mopeds and disappear before you can react. I've heard that they'll just stab you. That's what I heard. They'll just knife your ass. Not gonna even ask you any questions. They'll just knife you. And all those roadmen and shit, I've heard from my friend who lives in London, and he's a corporate guy. He's in the finance world, so he's always dressed up super nice. He's always got a beautiful button shirt. He kind of dresses like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. He's that kind of dude, right? Also in the finance world and all this. Absolute great fucking sense of fashion. Always on point. Always looking on point. You can clearly tell that this guy got his shit together. And he told me that these roadmen in London, they target guys like him. They target corporate dudes who are wearing button shirts, walking around with brief. These roadmen will come up to you and go fuck with you. I imagine this is kind of like the gypsies when they'll come up to you. For example, in my town, there's some gypsies from time to time. They'll come up to you, just rude as fuck. Hey, give me some money. Hey, give me some money. Hey, what's up? Where you going? Eh? They'll get in your way, and they'll just like 4 of them or something. And he told me that you got to learn how to deal with these people. If you're corporate, these people are gonna fucking come up to you. The roadmen in London. Yeah, Mr. Cheese, Mamma Mia. See you next time. It's called Carton City. Yeah. There you go. Carton City. Jebi ga, brate mi. To je bio chaos totalni. Yeah, this was crazy. But I want to go back to Serbia. I want to check it out. I have some friends over there. In general, Balkan people are really, really good people, in my experience. Serbs, Bosnians, great fucking people. Romanians too. Well, they're not. Depends on how you want to define the Balkan region. And guys, I know we went off stream. I know we went off topic, but now we're just fucking rambling. And I gotta go somewhere soon, so we're gonna wrap it up soon. I'm in Budapest right now. Let me see if I can show you my Google Maps without the fucking revealing my location with something. Someone's gonna come and cut my head off. But the Balkan Peninsula is defined by the tip over here next to Trieste, this part over here. You draw a straight line all the way up to Odessa. And this is the geographic beginning of the Balkan Peninsula, which goes all the way down here, alright? So by that measurement, by that definition, a good part of Romania is Balkan, right? Even a little bit of Hungary is Balkan. Croatia is definitely Balkan. Slovenia is part of the Balkan. The way I like to look at it is the culture. In Balkan countries, we've got a particular kind of culture, alright? For example, if you're Serbian, you know what I'm talking about. If you're Romanian, you know what I'm talking about. If you're Hungarian, you know what I'm talking about. If you're Bosnian, you know what I'm talking about. If you're from Bulgaria, you know what I'm talking about, alright? In Balkan, it's a particular kind of culture. People are just chill as fuck. Nobody's thinking about. People will invite you into their home, you'll feel like you're at home there. They'll pour you some booze. People smoking cigarettes. People not wearing a shirt. People just in their underwear and flip flops, acting like we're just been like we known each other 20 years. We're grilling together. Everybody's cussing. Everybody's playing cards. Everybody's got a dirty mouth, but everybody's loving and everybody's a good person for the most part, in my experience. What are your plans for today? I'm going to meet with 2 of my very good friends over here in Budapest. We're going to go out and have some drinks. Yeah, Europe is fucked, man. If you're going to go to Europe, if you're from somewhere else you want to go to Europe, I highly recommend. Poland is a very clean place, extremely safe place. It's not very easy to integrate because the Polish people are kind of difficult to penetrate. And I know this from experience because I've lived in a bunch of different countries. I've been a foreigner my whole life, guys. I've been the foreigner my entire life. I've been living abroad for the most part. And I know that the Polish people are very difficult to penetrate. Okay, a lot of them, they rarely speak English, even the young people, which was surprising to me because Poland is one of the best countries in Europe. Certainly, probably in my opinion, the best country in Europe. So it's very difficult to penetrate them. In Denmark, everybody speaks English. Everybody's super polite, but the way I'm talking to you people right now, I can't be talking like that in Denmark. They immediately know that this guy is not a fucking liberal, which means he must be a fucking Nazi. All right, and they don't really want to associate themselves with the type of shit that I'm talking about here. But when I'm talking to you guys here, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're crazy. You're right wing. You're a fucking Nazi. This is crazy. Are you out of your mind? What is this conspiracy theorist nonsense? What is it, Andrew Tate? What the fuck's the matter with you?" What these people who say this kind of thing, like they would in Denmark and Germany and the Netherlands, when if you're Christian, God forbid, there's something wrong with you in these countries, right? In the Balkan region, I'm probably the least anti-Semitic. I'm probably the least racist. I'm probably the least homophobic. I'm probably the least transphobic guy. And you guys know the kind of shit I say on these streams. I'm the guy when I sit with people in the Balkan. I'm the guy who has to try to kind of, hey, wait a minute, let's be reasonable about this, all right? Which says a lot, right? Because I say some pretty reckless shit myself. So I can't really. It's hard for me to be friends with people in Denmark who just they don't want to hear the idea that having a lot of migrants coming into your country, illegal migrants and all these different cultures mixing in with yours, people from third world countries, people coming from Africa, and you think they're gonna integrate into your Danish society. When you walk around with the opinion that, hey, perhaps this is not a great fucking idea. Maybe you shouldn't let massive amounts of these people into your country. For example, if you look at what's happening in Germany, it's totally out of control. Sweden, it's all fucked. In France, it's all completely fucked. If you say these kind of things, no, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're stuck in the Stone Age, you Balkan savages, you people are fucking racist, you people are scumbag. That's how they look at you in Western European countries, liberal countries. Here from Syria. Syria, I knew some Syrian people when I lived in Denmark. And to be honest with you, the Syrian people and the people from this part of the world. Okay, I also knew some Moroccans. That's not the same part of the world, but it's Syrians, for example, and Moroccans have a much similar culture than Danes and Syrians, for example. But so I'm talking about like Muslim culture, Eastern cultures. I got along with these people much better than I did with the Danes. Okay. Because in Syria, I think a lot of people share this similar kind of perspective on life as we do in the Balkan. It's rather conservative. It's rather we're not into fucking man. Don't even get me started. We're not into all this homosexuality. We don't play those fucking games around here. So I think that with Syrian people, we're kind of on the same frequency on this. Syrian people are down as fuck. These people are chill. That's my experience with Syrians. And this one guy, he told me, he was a driver in a company where I used to work, and he told me that no, it's not a Blender stream no more. It was a Blender stream, but now we're just talking shit. Now we're talking politics and geography. But this Syrian guy, I think he told me he lived in Aleppo. Maybe it was Damascus, I can't remember. One of the big cities. And he told me that they get like electricity 2 hours a day, water comes. Maybe if it comes at 4 o'clock in the morning. You got an hour to do your washing. This shit was crazy. And when you hear about this kind of thing, people don't have petrol. For example, you just walk to work, take a bicycle. It's totally wrecked. And I'm thinking, okay, so people live life like this. Maybe I can drop down on Aleppo or something. Where's Aleppo? Aleppo's up here in the north. People live in the lifestyle where you don't have electricity, you don't have petrol, you don't have running water. People living this kind of life. I can't even do Google Maps Street View here. But people live in a life where let me Google Aleppo just so I can paint a picture. Aleppo. Well, now it's showing me nice pictures. But I imagine a lot of people probably live in a lot of people lived in this type of environment. And when you hear these stories, and now you're gonna sit your ass in Europe. You got running water, you got new clothes on your back. You can go to the shop right now, buy whatever the fuck you want because it's for a day's wage. You can go to H&M, buy yourself a new T-shirt, a new jeans. You can buy yourself some new fucking shoes for €15. In H&M, you can buy whatever the fuck. You can feed you got everything you can possibly read. And you're gonna tell me you're depressed, you got anxiety? Get the fuck out of here. Who the fuck are you kidding? This just shows me that you're an ungrateful piece of shit. There's something wrong with you. if you live this kind of life. And you're gonna be looking at the no. Just because other people got worse problems, that doesn't mean I got problems. What problems you got? What problems you got? You know what's a problem? A problem is someone's coming to shoot you in the head. Someone's coming to burn down your sister alive. That's a problem. What problems you got? Get the fuck out of here. Is semen retention beneficial? He said semen. Semen. Is semen retention beneficial for 3D artists? So semen retention is if you're fucking a girl, you don't come. Right? That's semen retention. You keep it. Alright? Now, I don't play these games. I don't participate in any of this nonsense. When I was a teen, yeah, we really got to go down this road now, don't we? You know, when you're a teen, and you start cranking it out all the time, it just becomes like, fucking, I had this one friend did 10 times a day. This shit was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. But when you discover jerking off, you just go crazy with it. That's all you want to do. And then I discovered at some point, wait a minute, if you don't do it for 3 days, somehow your confidence spikes a little bit. But when it comes to semen retention, I'll tell you this, because like I said, I don't play these games. If I got a girl with me, it's going down, okay? But what you do notice, if you have sex with a girl and you finish, you just want to go to sleep. You don't want to go lifting weights. Are you crazy? I just got laid and I'm going to go to the squat rack to do some to squat 3.5 plates. Get the fuck out of here. So you lose this kind of hunger. Let's say you lose this kind of energy, this kind of this lion energy that you have as a man. When you get laid, it's like when you ate, you're not hungry anymore. So you don't got the biological motivation to go out there and hunt, if you know what I mean. Hunt in any regard, any aspect of life, whether it's work, whether it's training, right? But I see people pushing this shit to like 3 years I didn't come. Why? What's the problem? It's not that serious in my experience. Life is better if you get laid from time to time. No one will protect Romania. You didn't saw the tanks? What tanks? NATO's done, guy. NATO's finished. Forget about NATO. NATO doesn't give a fuck about any of us. The reason, guys, give you a little closing statement, because I got to get the hell out of it. The reason NATO exists, the reason NATO was originally formed, the whole idea of NATO was it was designed to stand against the Soviet Union, okay? During the Cold War. That was the whole point of NATO. The Soviet Union might come over here, so let's unite so they can't fuck with us, right? But really, in the NATO, the only reason NATO has any significance whatsoever is because of Big Daddy Samuel, Uncle Sam, right here. If Uncle Sam leaves, who's gonna protect you? UK, France, Germany? Who's gonna give you military to stand up to a force like Russia, to stand up to nuclear force, to stand up to serious fucking to serious military like China? Who's gonna stand up? So it's really Uncle Sam's the big boss. Everybody needs them. The reason you want to be in NATO so that Uncle Sam can protect your ass with their big military. All right, that's why we're all in NATO. That's why you want to join. So really, NATO is like a way for Uncle Sam to have his circle of influence. All right, Uncle Sam's got the money. Uncle Sam's got the guns. So join us. Come here to NATO. We'll protect you. We'll protect you as long as you do what we say. We'll protect you. And what ends up happening is every country in NATO ends up dancing to the tune of Uncle Sam. Okay? And the problem is that the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. The Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. Anybody who sits here talking about we have reason to believe that Russia is going to invade you, are you out of your fucking mind? Do you have any idea about the condition? It's been war for 2 years, my friend. 3 years. How long has this been going down? They took a little piece of Ukraine. Do you think they have anything near the necessary military power, much less the inclination to invade all of Ukraine, much less fucking Europe? Are you kidding me? Does this look like the Blitzkrieg to you? Are you out of your fucking... So the point is that NATO does not... It lost its original purpose. There's no more Soviet Union, okay, on the march. There's no more Cold War to justify this type of shit, all right? So now the problem is that NATO still exists. So now it's looking for a reason to exist, so that naturally Uncle Sam can retain their sphere of influence, so they can retain their leverage. They got to create a reason. They got to program people to believe that there's a reason for them to stay in NATO and dance to America's tune. So what they do is they inflate, they totally twist through propaganda. They totally twist the situation, so that makes it look like, oh, Putin's doing this over here. Oh yeah, that's because they're coming for you. You better stay with us. You better do as we say, because otherwise he's gonna fuck you all. They make you think this, so that you would stay in their sphere of influence. But really, they're pushing buttons. They're trying to create a reason to justify the existence of NATO, to justify the existence of their sphere of influence over here in Europe. That's what NATO is all about. NATO's fucked. Have you ever been to countries like Iceland or Greenland? No, I have not. I wouldn't be able to survive in these kind of places. I like when it's warm. But it's a beautiful place. Certainly, I had some friends that went to Iceland. Gorgeous place, but I wouldn't be able to last there. I just came back from Estonia. Shit, man, this place is cold. I lived in Denmark. That place is cold. Long nights, long winters, windy, cold, and I don't like this type of shit at all. I'm Balkan, man. Give me some seaside. Never go to India. I got people asking me all the time, are you going to India? When are you coming to India? What am I going to do in fucking India? What am I going to do? I'm sorry. Listen, I know Indian people are very nice. They've always been very nice to me. I got a lot of Indian friends, but let's call it what it is. It's fucking dirty, man. I don't like dirty, but it's totally beyond anything which I find acceptable. It's just, oh, you've been to the wrong parts of India. I've never seen a part of India which isn't fucking dirty. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to say it like this, but it's my honest opinion. What am I going to do in India? You think AI will affect the earnings of 3D artists? Well, if you don't adapt, yes, because the guy who's going to use AI is going to smoke you, because he's going to be able to undercut you, because he can do it for a lower price, because it takes him 10 minutes to do what it takes you an hour. But if you're smart, you're going to think of this as the golden age, where you can now supply your customers, which hopefully you should have. Hopefully you're a member of the Digitally Enhanced Club, so you understand how digital business works, so you understand how finding clients and customers works. Now you can supply your clients with a better, cheaper service. So you can supply more clients. You can be the guy who's going to smoke all the other 3D artists. It's a great reset. All the other 3D artists are going to get pushed out because they're whining about, oh, AI is coming in, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to quit, I'm going to go play video games. Most people are going to go down that road. So if you're smart, I'll fuck all those people. Let's get AI, and I'll be one of the few people who's going to stay in the game. So everybody's going to come to me instead. So it's going to create a greater divide. A divide. What is it called? Dispersion? Is that the right word? Dispersion? Dispersion, the action process of distributing things for people over a wide area. That's not the word I'm looking for. There's going to be a greater wealth divide. There's going to be the people who learn how to use AI, who know how business works, okay, who know how to get clients, who know how to get customers, who know how to set up a business, so they don't have to work at a studio, because the studio is going to replace your ass. Forget about a fucking studio. The studio is going to replace your ass as soon as they can, all right? But if you know how to get your customers, so you do what the studio does, where they get customers, they get clients, they do the marketing, they do the business side. If you know how to do that, well, now you can supply your customers with a better service. So it's those people who know how to do that, they'll be getting all the fucking clients. Well, those people who don't, they're going to be out of the game. My point is, they will recruit for the army, and it's kind of impossible to escape if you're on European soil. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. It's actually very simple. But you got to be a certain kind of person. You got to be the kind of guy like me. I can move tomorrow to Cambodia and stay there for 2 years without coming home. It doesn't mean a damn thing to me, okay? Because I've been around the block. I've lived all over the place. My life has been all over the place. You got to be the kind of guy who can come somewhere and get a lot of very good friends. Because when you're very good at showing up, being very cool, and getting a lot of very good friends, what's also going to happen is you get ladies who are going to be very attracted to you. So, for example, what you could do is go to some fucking country, get yourself a wife. Maybe you can go to a country where you can get a couple of wives. Maybe you just register a business there. Maybe you sign up for university. Every country has different rules, but a lot of times when they call people for military service, oh, this guy, I have a friend. I don't want to say anything about him, but he is from a country which mobilizes its people, which is drafting its people. They have a mandatory military service, but he lives in another country where he's got a company set up. He doesn't. I don't think he doesn't have a passport or nothing, but he lives there. He has reason to be there, right? So as a result, he gets a pass. He doesn't have to get. He doesn't have to go to the military. So if you can figure this shit out, if you can set yourself up, you can think outside the box and not just do what everybody else is doing. Oh, okay, I'll just do whatever the fucking TV says. You're gonna be okay. You don't even need money for that. You gotta have a mouthpiece. You gotta have a good mouthpiece. All right, guys, I gotta hit the road. I'm going out tonight. I hope you guys are doing something too. Don't just be sitting at home playing fucking video games all the time. You got a life sometimes. You'll see if you socialize, if you get good friends, whatever you're doing on the side, whatever you're doing in your free time, all of a sudden you're gonna through friends meet all sorts of opportunities. So you can't forget about that part. Okay, make sure to socialize, guys. Rule of thumb: if you want, for me, for example, I'm a very social person. I trained my social skills quite a lot. So for me, it's very important to retain those social skills. The same way when you're at the gym. If you stop, you're gonna lose all your gains. But you gotta keep up with at least at least a little bit of training, so that you would maintain your position. If not make it better, you can maintain where you are. You can keep your gains. It's the same with social skills. You gotta train them. For me to not lose my sanity when I'm deep at work, when I'm deep, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to fucking work. I want to focus on my shit, and I don't leave the house. At least once a week, I gotta be in a place where I can talk to somebody who I don't live with, who I don't see all the time. And in a place where there's strangers who I can possibly talk. At least once a week to not lose my sanity. Twice a week to stay at a kind of a normal, healthy, happy life. Because you start to become miserable if you don't socialize with people. But if you can socialize 3 times a week, you can go to a place where you're meeting strangers, you're meeting new people. If you can do that 2-3 times a week, you're going to be on a golden fucking... Didn't think of any expression, but you understand what I mean. That's all for today, ladies and gentlemen. Remember the lighting tips that I told you. We're going to do another stream in a couple of days. I'm going to do more of these streams because I can see we got a lot of shit to talk about here. So follow me on Instagram, guys. If you need some more help with what you're doing, if you want to talk to me, you can do so in my Blender School Digitally Enhanced Club. All right, I can check out your projects. You got a bunch of courses in there. You can talk to other people who are also trying to become professional 3D artists. We'll teach you how to do your social media, how to build your Instagram, how to build your portfolio, how to get your clients, how to do everything. I'll be able to supervise you through your projects and all that. You can also book a call with me if you want to do a one-on-one with me. You can also do that. Check out my Blender ebook. All the modeling tools and shit like that I ever use in my videos are explained in there. If you don't want to buy nothing, I've got a free topology guide. If you're somebody who's learning Blender, you have to understand topology, so check that out. It's in the description as well, completely for free. It's going to put you on game. So stay tuned, guys. I'll see you in the next one.